got your 6th win of the season, but you didn't make a lot of noise until we got to the closing stages of the race.
Exactly how we wanted it to. We wanted to kind of hang out and just ride and try to save the car for the end of the race. And we wanted to go 300 laps without any damage, without any problems, and see what we had for the end. And very fortunately, we had a great pit stop there at the end, propelled us from 3rd position to 1st, and we're able to go out there and run with those guys and pull away a little bit. So it was actually, like you said, a perfect weekend for us.
And Bootie, so proud of you and that number 17, Johnny Sauter. I know you guys finished 2nd back in the Nextel Open at Lowe's in May and transferred to the All-Star Challenge. But you guys came from the rear twice last Saturday night to get your first top 5 of the year, ended up finishing 5th.
Talking. Says, hey, we got to get after here because, you know, dragging me down. So we had to pick up the pace a little bit. But no, everybody did a great job. It was a great race car. Johnny drove his heart out, and it worked out.
And one thing that we mentioned in our final segment last week at Richmond was this owner's point situation. You guys did yourself a lot of good. You bumped up to 33rd in owner points, but most importantly, 150 points over the 36th place team, and that gives you a little bit of cushion there.
Yeah, it sure does, and believe me, we're cognizant of it. I mean, we know where we're at. We're about 20 behind the 88, and then it's a couple other cars in front of us couldn't possibly catch. So now we're looking ahead because I feel confident, and as all of us do, that we're going to stretch it over the rest of those guys.
And Chad, with that win, and we mentioned your 6 wins, that means you start the chase with those 60 bonus points. You now are actually the points leader with a 20-point lead over your teammate, the 2014 and Steve Letard.
Yeah, I think that just speaks volumes about what we've got going on at Hendrick Motorsports right now with 3 drivers in the chase. And, you know, us and the 24 car leading the points, it just says a lot for what's going on in the 24-48 shop. And I just couldn't be prouder of what those guys are doing all year long.
I have a quick question for Chad. You know, a lot of people talk about Jeff Gordon's point lead, et cetera, et cetera. But Chad, were you not aware of that the whole time this year and was more, let's say if you had a top 5, a top 10 car, would you go back and change things, not worry about the point, try to get the win because of this type of structure?
I think, yeah, you're exactly right. It's a whole. I think that if you pay attention to what's going on out there right now, what is most important for the first 26 races are race wins. And there were a couple wins that we feel like we should have had. There was 1 or 2 that we maybe got that we shouldn't have, and maybe a couple that we could have changed our strategy a little bit and maybe gotten those. So, you know, next year if we're paying attention to it, maybe we can get a couple more of our calls right.
Now, Bootie, when we finished up racing at Richmond last Saturday night, before we headed up here the latter part of this week, we went to Talladega for a 2-day test with the car tomorrow. Any surprises with all the cars down there? I think we're right at 50 cars down there testing.
I was shocked. I figured a car that big, and with the restrictor plate the size it was going to draft very well, or I ain't going to say draft very well. The closure, the rate was going to be very rapid. So, like, let's say if a car was 100 yards in front of you, if you just got a sniff, you were going to suck right up to it and you have a big slingshot effect. That was not the case. The way it looks to me is this racing just like we had, but actually works. If you didn't fall in line at the right time or catch that pack, you actually lost the draft. So I'm afraid what I think is going to happen is with about 30 to go or 40 to go, you're going to see everybody get to the high side, stay single file, nobody's going to do it to go low. So I'm afraid the race is not going to be good.
Chad, Bootie mentioned the restrictor plate. One of the agendas with the car tomorrow at Daytona and Talladega is to go to a gear rule. I think a gear a lot like the race at Fontana, Michigan. Pull the RPM up and the speed back, but then get the speed back with a little bigger plate. What did you guys zero in on gear-wise, restrictor plate-wise down there?
We didn't really see what we wanted to see. The RPM that we were turning was actually past our peak horsepower range, so the car was actually laying over a little bit, let's say. It was past the peak horsepower, so when the driver was trying to accelerate and get past somebody, there was nothing there. It was almost like what we had before with the taller gear. You know, I think that there's got to be a way for us to somehow slow the cars down, but give the engine some room to breathe. And we just don't have that right now. But the problem is, we're just too smart. Bootie's too smart. The other crew chiefs in the garage are too smart. Everybody's too smart because what they're doing is they're going through and they're adapting the race cars and making them faster and faster, even with less horsepower. So it's a tough box that we're in to try to make the racing better. And I don't see a better thing in sight right now in the near future. I can tell you that.
At Bootie, the rear wing, we know a lot of places you